All right. Welcome back. Now we resume to the next topic under the SQL, where we are going to consider a database. First, we construct a database, and then we'll go ahead and we'll try to write the queries on database. So first thing first. So let's look at the database, which what we are going to consider. Okay. A part of this database was used earlier, right? When we discussed a few things, right? Now you can see that it's a clear-cut idea that we have one table, that is the employee name of the table. So we need to give table names, right? So previously when we wrote the simple queries, we considered a small database, and in that small database we gave a name like student. It had, right, three columns, right? We know the details like that. Now you see how many tables we are going to consider, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5 tables by different names. First one is about the employee. Okay, second is a client, right? Third table is works with. Fourth has been given name, branch supplier, and a branch. So out of this, when we discuss about the examples, right, we considered, I think one table was an employee, right? The branch supplier was used. Also, the branch was, just to understand the various types of keys. So you can trace out using the color code that what is a primary key. So of each of the table, right? This is a primary key. This is a primary key. This is a primary key. It's a normal one. But we could generate what is called as a composite, right? So whenever two columns are required to identify, like that, I have, say we have two such tables. Okay, all right. Then we have what is called as a foreign key, right? You can try to relate the various tables using them, right? So that's what you can see, right? Every table has, right, something like a uh, foreign key. It's not necessary. You can see that here we don't have, right? It's absolutely fine. Then other than that, whatever is written in the blue colored headings, right? So these are the other attributes of the table, right? Okay, all right. So details of the table, we can just see that and we can understand. Employee table contains the complete details of, in terms of an employee ID, name, birth date, sex, salary, then the superior ID and the branch ID. So those two are used to connect this table to other tables, right? Then the client, right? There is a client ID given, name of the client is also given, and client of which particular branch is also given over there. So you can see here the system. All right. So that's the part. All right. So let's proceed further. Now, okay. Let me just consider. Okay. So in addition to that, you can see the client, right? So the client details are shown. Then works with is like employee ID and working with which particular client. So in order to understand that, we need what is called as a client ID itself, right? So you can see that that's why there are, it's a, that particular table works with composite, right? Two things. Similarly, the branch supplier, we already have discussed about this once, but right, you have a branch ID as well as the supplier name to get what type of supply, right? And a branch table, right, which says that what is the ID of the branch, where is it located, who is the manager of that. Because manager ID will be, he will be an employee only, right? So we have to use the employee ID over there corresponding to, sorry, not here, my mistake. So corresponding to this. All right. It also contains, right, various data types, right? All the data types which we had considered, right, when we discussed the basics, they are also present here. You can get integers, you get the variable characters like the name, right? You get like single characters like along that MF below this particular table, right? Sorry, where is my mouse pointer? Yeah. So let me bring a pointer back. Sorry. Okay. So over here you can see that MF single characters, right? So you also have a null present, right? You have single digit numbers, you have the integers, right? The bigger numbers, etc. The text string, right? It's a varchar, etc. So date is also there, right? So we already have seen that the date can also be one of the formats. So which in this the particular database, once we create this, we are very sure that we are going to deal with each and every case. Okay, so that is our data set. Okay, so now our approach will be slightly different. I'm not going to write the whole code, right? That is just because there is too much of writing. This to create this table, you just imagine how much we need to do. So what I have done, I already have done something, and I have taken a snapshot today earlier morning I had done. So I will directly go with the PPT where you can see what happens when this is going to run. Okay, how do we create that? So the first part you see here, right? I go for it, create a table, right? So the basics we already have studied how to create a table. I call it by the name employee. And so below that you see, right? We are using whatever we know, we already have come across all of them. So employee ID, I make it, it's an integer type, and I'm going to make it as a primary key.
So, so sorry to interrupt. So we are doing this in PopQL, SQL, right?
Everything is done on the sorry, everything is done on the Pop SQL. Okay, this is Pop SQL screenshot, right? You can see the result on the right side. Since typing will take a lot of time and I don't have much time to cover the whole topic, right, which is allocated, right, we'll go fast with this. Okay, that's
sure,
right? So you will get the whole code. Okay, this whole code will be made available to you by today evening or tomorrow early morning, right? So that you can run by yourself and check everything whatever we are doing. I hope that is fine, right?
Right, boss.
Oh, so you see, the creation of the table happens in this fashion, right? So we have, right, the first name, everything you see, you saw just now in the previous slide where we use the employee table, the details of that you can see here. All right. So the format is also used, like if it is a date, we are using the data type date. So integer, you can see variable characters, and integer. That's what was required for that. Okay, right. Then similarly, after this, right? So you can see the result on the right side. So the previous result you see here, when it was created, this is the result we obtained. Okay, so as soon as it gets, you run that, this is the result, right? So now I'll go ahead and let's say we create the second one. So that is a branch. All right. Yeah. Any doubt?
So when we say variable characters, so we cover everything in that. It can be digits also, binary, and like in characters also, everything.
Yeah, it covers it. Right. Yes. Right. So the second part is that we'll go to the next table, that is by the name branch, right? In that, branch ID was the primary key and it is of type integer. Other than that, we had to create spaces for branch name, manager ID, which date manager actually started, etc. Now you see there is one thing which I'll cover that topic at the end, that is this part. Okay, the last line you don't worry. Okay, but it has been added for a purpose, but we need to understand what is this part before we cover that. Okay, that is going to come at a slightly later stage. Okay, I'll cover that, then I come back here and I'll explain. All right, so 2 or 3 tables are added with some lines like this. All right, so we will cover that at a later stage. As of now, don't worry, simply think that okay, the tables are getting created over here. Okay, fine. So the next one, so the branch has been created. So now you see the first step, I'll start with what is called as a alter. This is where I start adding something to the table, right? Now you see what happens here. Alter the table, that's employee table is the one which I'm adding. So I'm adding the foreign key called branch ID. So I'll go back, just see whether the branch ID is a foreign key. Yes, right? So we can see that this is the one which we are talking, right? So you are making that key as, right, the foreign key. I also have to do another one. That's a super ID. We'll do that later. But just so with respect to that diagram, we are doing something. All right. Okay. I'm adding something. Right. Again, this will refer whenever I say that I'm creating a branch ID as a foreign key. Which other table you are going to refer? You will say. Okay. So references, right? The branch table with the branch ID. So let's check that. This is the initial phase. All right. So go to the branch with the branch ID. So this and this, right? That's how they are related. I'm saying that this is what is happening. Is it fine? Okay. So I'm just trying to relate it, right, in this way. Okay. So we were here, right? Again, don't worry about the on delete part, right? We'll discuss that later. So just I made sure that in my table, I created one particular column, which I declared as a foreign key. And I also mentioned this key relates this particular table with the name employee to another table called branch. Okay, this is new thing for us. Previously, we have not done. So let's just take this point seriously. All right. Next, right? Let's go to another one. Right. I am going to add another uh, key, which is a foreign key. That is a super ID. Just now we saw. Right. It is going to reference to another table by the name employee because it is a self. Right. If you remember, we had an example. I'll just show you. It says that who is a superior, right? I know that for this person, right, 100 is a superior. Who is a 100? It's actually this person, right? So the employee ID being 100 is a superior of, right? Supervisor, maybe. Okay. So that's how it is identified, right? So it relates to itself. So that's the reason why we are saying like this. Okay, so it's going to reference to the same thing. You can give the same name if it is a self-referencing. Okay, so that's what is happening here. So everything runs right on the right side. As soon as it's running, I have actually taken a snapshot of that and I just pasted it here. All right, let's move further. Right, next, what are the other tables we want to create? We are simply creating them one by one. So there is a client, right? You see that the word client is also being recognized by the SQL, right? Normally we try to avoid, but this works. I want to show that even if you give that, no problem. Like other languages might throw an error saying that this is a keyword, you cannot use it, but here it works. Okay, so just consider that, right? Even if you use, no, nothing happens. So client ID, client name, branch ID, etc. So this part, as of now, don't worry. Okay, the last line, there is some reason why we are adding that, but need to discuss something before we go. So after that, there is the next table coming up, works with. Okay, so that also has the following things, right? Right, ID, the total sales again. So create a primary key. There are two primary keys, right? In this particular works with the table, right? So there are two primary keys. It's what is it called as? It's actually the composite key, right? So we are creating that. So how to create that? Also remember, branch supplier also requires same, right? How do you make two columns as a primary key, or in general, a composite key can be generated in this fashion? Okay, right. So in this particular case, we have two lines, right? That is, one says that delete on delete cascade. Okay, both are saying the on delete cascade. So on delete null, on delete cascade are the two options. We are going to see that at a later stage. Then we have next one, that is a branch supplier, right? Just now I showed it is also going to have two primary keys, right? By this name. We created that. All right. So it's also when it ran, right? You can see the results on the right side. When we are creating that, it simply runs, no problem. Now, let's say we created all the required tables. There is only one primary key in the table then how there is a 2? Which one you are referring, Gaurav? You are talking about which table? You are talking about the branch supplier works with, okay. Works with has 2, right? So you see the primary keys, there are 2 primary keys. You look at the color, right? So it says, well, labels are there. Whatever color you see, that is a primary key. So I have 2 primary keys here. All right. So because of that.
Sir, but there is, there is a primary key rule that it has to be 1.
No. Look at the definitions we discussed yesterday. There can be 2 also, right? It's called as a composite key, right?
Okay.
These 2 tables are having composite keys. That's why there are 2, right? You can have. Okay, just refer the yesterday session. You will come to know.
Okay, I wasn't in the yesterday session.
No issues. That's absolutely fine. You get the material, right? So just refer that or look at the video of yesterday's session. It will be clear. Okay, so it's a valid doubt. No problem. Okay, yeah. So fine. So now we add, right? We start adding, right? So let's initially, there is a trick to add something, okay? Because an entry in a table that has a corresponding entry in another table, right? So that might look tricky for you initially, but no problem. The same thing happened with me also when I learned the initially first phases. But later on, once you get adjusted to that, it's fine, right? Okay, so you see what I'm trying to add, right? I'm trying to add insert into employee. This format we are familiar with. How to insert, we have already come across. We add the values. Okay, just see that some of the values here, there is a null. After 25,000, I am adding the nulls. So it's just look at the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. In the employee table with the number 100, I am adding 7th and 8th columns as null. Okay. So just understand that. So let's go back. So why we are doing that, you will come to employee table, right? So this is the starting point, right? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. First thing is that he has no supervisor. That's one thing, right? But the branch ID is also, you are going to put null. That is because if you put something here, this actually links this to this, right? So as of now, we have not created anything in the branch, right? So we'll put this as null as well. Immediately once this gets created, I'll update. Okay, this is the standard procedure. Whenever you have a particular, because you don't have any idea that he's the what you call he's the branch, maybe he works for a particular branch, you know that, but this is not yet created, right? There is a branch table, but nothing has been entered over there. So for that reason, we are doing this. Okay, just remember that, right? We'll get back to this soon. Now you see, I'll go to the branch. Okay, so as soon as you go to the branch, right, you see what happens. First one, number 1, the corporate. Now you see you are adding 100 and this is corresponding to the same user, same person with the number 100. I am adding it to the branch. Now you see that branch has been created. Now you can put the value which you missed. Now you do that. So update employee. Set the branch ID equal to 1. So the last column which was null, right? I'm updating that. Okay. Where the employee ID is this. Now you see, you know this form, correct? You are very familiar. We have worked on at least few queries over there in the previous session, right? So you are familiar with it. In the sense, I'm looking for a particular entry in the table. I'm referring that wherever that employee ID is equal to 100, go to a column by the name branch ID and update that to be 1. It was null so far. Okay, I'll just go back just to make sure that everybody understands. So as you know, this particular value I entered as null initially, because this, as soon as I enter, there should be something on the branch part, but branch was not, it was created but not entered any value, right? So because of that, now what I did, I made this null, I created this, then I came back and I updated this as well. Now you see there is a linking between them. So that's the fundamental idea. Okay, that's what happened here, right? Then Let's proceed further. This happens similarly for other employees as well. So wherever you have that case, we will do this procedure. Others you can keep entering directly because there is no such issues, right? For other employees. Let's see. So go to the next part. So you see.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes,
Sir,
yes.
I just wanted to ask one small question, sir.
Yes, please.
Like why, before updating the employee table, why we have inserted into the branch values, and
Because,
how the employee and branch are associated before moving to the update employee?
That is because there is a foreign key. That particular name, which is branch ID, right? Which is a foreign key, right? Foreign key in the sense you need to put a foreign key when you have a table to link with. Okay, there was a table but no values. When I say 1 in this particular column, right? Whenever I say there is a 1 in this column, right? So this is the one I'm saying. Whenever I put 1 here, this one corresponds to this. There has to be this already available. Then only this makes sense, because we are saying that it is foreign key. Foreign key, when I declare something as a foreign key and I put a value there, SQL expects that, okay, there is already a table with that corresponding value, which is not there. As of now, it is not there. That's why I put a null here. Then I created this. Then I updated this as well. Okay, that's a requirement from the SQL side. You have to have this before you put a value to the foreign key. That particular what you call table should have a proper value associated with that. Okay, all right. Let's proceed. Okay, so next you see this is the detail. The second one, it's written here. It's corresponding to which particular branch we are talking about. So there is a branch by that name in the table. Okay, so you can see here, this is the one which we are talking. Now we are trying to update related to this. Okay, for that branch, insert, right? Corresponding to that, I'm inserting into both the tables, right? So you can see it, first put it into the employee part. So in that you have a particular ID 1 or 2, everything is true. You see here, there is a null here. Again, it's not visible as of now, but anyway, when you get a code, you will get complete this. Okay, in the screenshot, it is not visible because I try to keep this text size larger. Okay, so there is a null here. Again, we are making it null because in the what you call branch table, there is no value for that particular key. So what I do, I create that in the branch, then I update like this. So that's a procedure. So we have 2 examples such. Once that is done, right, the next objective is you can keep adding the employees because there is no such examples existing, no such issues existing with the other values 103, 104, 105, etc. We keep on adding. Okay, so I think that's the same thing. We added 103, 104, 105. Okay, till here it is over. It's actually overlapping with the previous page. So then you go to the next branch, right? In that case also we have, right, the same issue with 106, right? So I make that null, I update the branch, then I say that update that employee with this, right? Branch ID equal to 3, right? Where employee is equal to 106. Now you see, this means, right, those 2 tables are linked because of the foreign key. Remaining employees, right, simply keep adding because they don't have. Yes.
Sir, what is the difference between the Scranton and Stamford, which both of these things which we have just discussed? The above one and this later one.
Okay, for that I need to go back to this, right? So you see the difference is in terms of they are different branches and they are headed by different managers. Okay, so difference is that you can see here, this has manager number 102 who is this person. Okay, and go to the other one, it's a completely different branch whose manager is 106. Correct? You see that these first 2 work at branch number 1. 4 employees work in branch number 2. 3 people work. So that's a difference.
Right.
Right. So till here, I hope it is fine, right? So we keep adding,
yes, sir.
Right? So everything we keep. So only that was the issue, right? I wanted to show that what happens when you have a foreign key. I couldn't give an example in the simple case like what we discussed in the earlier case, because relating to simpler objects or simpler tables are actually difficult. When you have something like this, some practical cases like this, it becomes more, we will be able to understand easily. Okay, so that's the first thing, how to relate the tables if you have a foreign key is the first. Okay, let's proceed. Now others, wherever you don't have any issue, you can simply keep inserting the details of that. So you see here, this is corresponding to the branch supplier. Okay, that particular table. We don't have any issue, simply keep inserting, right? Whatever data was present in the table, look at the table and you keep writing. Then go to the client part. Again, we don't have any issues over there. Simple entries, right? What are the values to be entered? It's in the same. So number, right? It's a client name, I guess, and the 2 corresponds to who is servicing that particular client. Okay, which branch. Okay, and then there is a works with table. We are entering them in the same order. Okay, so this is the employee ID. This is the, I think this is a ID corresponding to the client, right? Then this is the amount. All right, maybe it is invested or something. Let's verify. Let's make it confirm that. Okay, it's a total sales. My mistake. It's a work with, right? So it's a total sales of that. All right. So that is also, I guess this should be pretty straightforward here. Now, right, you see, right, we start with the queries. The tables are ready with us. Now we'll not go with the very simple queries, because very simple queries, how to do that, what it can do, we already know. We try to go one step ahead. All right. So simple queries, I'll go quickly. So can you guess what it's going to do? Select all. Everything will be displayed. On the right side, you can see everything is displayed. Okay, straightforward. I'll go ahead. Select all from client. So go to the client table, show me everything, right? So it may not be visible because on the right side, everything may not be visible because column needs many spaces, right? Because of the restriction on the space we have over this side, right? So maybe few of the columns will be visible, but anyway, you know what's the meaning of this. Ultimately, that's what matters. All right, so let's proceed. We are checking everything. Whatever we entered, is it visible? We are checking. You see, one by one. Okay, so few of them, I just make sure that, okay, this is how we check. Now we go for the first query. You see the question over there, right? This is a question, right? Find all the employees ordered by the salary, right? Select all from the employee ordered by salary. Means what? Go to the salary, keep it ascending. So just see here. Right, so all others might change, right? So the orders may be different, which it may not be in the ascending order or descending order of A, B, C, D, right? Like that. But what is important? Just look at this. It's in the ascending order, which is what we understand, right? Let's proceed further. Again, descending you want, just check. Find all the employees ordered by the salary, but I wanted to show the descending part. We already have done this, right? I hope you don't have any doubts over here, right? Simply access the table and just get it done. Okay, right? Then the next question. Find all the employees ordered by sex, then name, right? So just see, it's the same command, right? So by default, it will be in the ascending order only. So if the sex is identified by F or M, so which is going to come first? F comes first. So you can see in the results, F, all the F's are first, then the M comes. Okay, right? That's what comes first. If at all somebody has the same name, then only you will see the first name getting in the ascending order. Otherwise, you may not see that. I don't think we have same names over here. Okay, so since we already have done this, I hope this is pretty, you are pretty comfortable with this. Right. Now you see, I'm using a limit option here. Right? Select all from the employee, show me on the only 5. So in my table, I'm seeing only 5 here. Okay, so everything, right, which will be as entered earlier. Nothing changes. Simply it shows only 5. Okay, I'll go ahead. Right. So select, I want to see, this is the one which we consider, like I don't want to see the whole thing, right? I want to look at the particular columns in my data set. How do you do that? Select whatever you want. After that, you separate them with the comma. Okay, so select first name, comma. Okay, this is what may be new to you, but just see, this is another way of writing. So there is another convention saying that though you are actually referring to the table, you can use the employee dot notation over there, right? So far, I never used in our classes, right? But there is a convention. I just wanted to show here. That's why I added this. So that even if you don't write, no problem, absolutely fine. Simply, you see, I never used here. This says that you are taking the last name from employee. That's obvious because I'm saying from employee. But there is a convention, right? There is a convention in the real world where people write in this notation, and that notation is supported by SQL. Okay, no issues if you don't use. All right. Just wanted to show that. So whichever table you are referring, that name comes first, like employee dot first name, comma employee dot last name. People write using that convention as well. All right. So what this does, it shows me the table employee, but with only two columns. Only two columns are shown. Over here, you can see the result. Okay. I hope it makes sense now why we did some exercise earlier, right? Everything is being repeated here. So there is no meaning in writing the code again and again. So, right, that's why we are going fast. We are able to go faster. Right. So next question. Find the forename and surnames of all the employees. Now you see, it is expecting the forename and the surname. But you see the previous case, it was being displayed here as the first name and the last name. Okay. I said, literally, I'm trying to change the name of the column. That's all. Data set still remains same. I'm still reading from the same table. But the objective here is that simply change the name of that particular name of those two columns. That's what is. When you show it, it's not going to change in your original table. Please understand. I'm not changing the name in the original table. Still same, but just it says select. Show me that. Show me that in such a way that right. The first name is a forename for us. Last name should be the surname for us. All right. So let's just look at that. There is a keyword called as. So this is the new thing for us. We have not studied. So in the sense, when we show first name, call it as a forename. Okay. When you show the last name, show me that as a surname. So you see that change happened over here only when it is getting displayed. I repeat, no, it's not going to change the original table. Okay. So new thing we learned here. That's a command as. All right.
Hello.
Yes, Devendra.
Sir, this original table, we need to create a big table, or we can import some like original table, and we can do all those analysis.
I'll tell you the answer. What happens in practically? Okay, the practical scenario is that we whatever the data we are considering here, right? You see that this is a small table. This is fine. This is just for the purpose of our discussion, and I want to explain how various operations can be performed. But in practice, you don't use we will never use SQL for a small data set like whatever you store in CSV file, whatever you may have it in the any other format, tabular format, right? That data set, you have other tools. Maybe Excel will work better. Okay, if you have a small data set which you store in your computer, it can be 10,000 rows or maybe 10,000 rows, 20,000, 50,000 rows, 1 lakh, 10 lakh rows of data, say 20 columns. It will work fine. The Excel itself is sufficient. You don't have to go to the SQL. In the Excel itself, you can write the commands and you can get things done. All right, but this particular the database sequential query languages are invented to deal with much larger data set which you are not able to store in your computer. Such a huge data set we will never be handling. This is a practical answer. Okay, we will never have such things in our computer at all, which means you cannot use any other tool like the Excel I mentioned, CSV file format. You cannot do that. So this is meant for something which you store in a database, maybe right very far away from your location in a cloud, right? Like that. You store it over there, and that is too huge for a human to visualize that and take that. Okay, for a human to see that and read that, it is impossible. Such a huge data we are talking. So these tables, what you see here, right, they are just for a demonstration purpose only. We will never do all these things in a real time huge data. We will not do that. Whatever is possible to save in our computer, we can do that with other simple tools only. You don't need these SQL or any other, right, sequencing the languages which we mentioned in the yesterday's class, right? So you don't have to maintain a DBMS for that. Database management system is not at all required, because simply you can store it here. You don't need a management system for that. Okay, I hope that clears the doubt. For huge data we are talking about, which will never, you cannot open such data using Excel, CSV. It's not possible. What we are targeting here is such a huge data. All right.
Right, sir. But how we will import or like whatever command we are putting, because right now we have some kind of Excel, some kind of data. So we are deleting, we are like editing, all those things we are doing operation. But when we talk about big data, so how big data connect with this all the like this command, and how we will create the
Yes,
recipe?
I understood the question. I'll come. Okay, so you see, creating a data in a proper format itself is a different field. Okay, you as of now you just think that in a server to put the data over there, right? There are other people who are going to handle that, and they are going to put that in a specific. So now our idea is that I might have to read that. That's the first thing. Right? The CRUD which you saw yesterday, right? That is what is our target. I may want to process it on my side, and I want to utilize it for something. So SQL is just a query, right? There is something already existing. But in our case, I don't have such a system, so I created the table. This also supports the creation of that. But you cannot use a SQL for a creation as well, because you know that it's actually too huge. You may have to keep entering every value one by one. So not suggested. SQL is never going to be used for creation of that. Okay, something which is already existing and it is already very huge, right? You try to do the operations related to that. Only that is the target, and that's what we are going to do now. So think that these tables are two huge tables and located very far. You have a cloud connection and you are writing the queries, and your DBMS like MySQL is connected to that. That is the one which actually brings whatever you ask from the cloud to this point. I hope that is clear. Okay. All right, let's proceed further. Right. So the next, I think I never discussed this. Sorry. So here there is another keyword called distinct. Right. So select the various options. It's like it's going to create a set. Right. So you remember the set theory in mathematics. Set in the sense, right? Whenever you toss the coin, what are the options? You will just write that once, like head and tail. I toss 4 times. I may get head, tail, head. I don't write all of them over, because it is a set. Set means it contains only all the options once, like that. So you may have male, female, male, female, etc. But it's going to consider only once. What are the various options are there in that particular column? So which column you are looking at? You are looking at a particular column in the employee table called sex. So male, female are the two options. You can see that it shows that. What are the various values present in a particular a column. You can identify like this. Again, this is just an example, right? So find out the different genders is the question. Right? All right, let's move ahead. So remember the distinct keyword. Now find out all the different branch IDs, right? Again, it will be, right? You can use a distinct, because maybe you have employees, many employees working at the same branch. So across the names, you have branch numbers. next also working in the same branch, you have the same number, but you need to consider that only once. So what you do, you do distinct. Okay, other options are also there. You can think and you can write a code. You don't have to refer to this particular employee table. You can refer other table and you can write answer. Okay, obviously that is there, but my intention is to use the distinct. I want to show you the use of this. That's why I'm still using the employee table. All right. Okay, then moving ahead, find out all male employees. So sorry, this means which table you are going to refer. You will refer the employee table and select all. So this particular way of writing the query you are already familiar, right? In the previous section we have discussed this. So select from which table and what is the condition, right? So from that table it's going to display, right, all the male employees, right? Other columns will also come because I'm not specifying which column I want to see. I'm saying all columns. Okay, all right. Find all the employees in a particular branch. You see the varieties of this thing, because as of now we are doing this only on a small data, just 5 or 6 tables you have. Imagine how helpful is this when you are dealing with the details of a complete country, right? So many data will, so much of that's the size of the data, right? Manually checking who is in this particular branch, maybe it may not be the whole country's data set, may not be related to what example I'm trying to give, but think that, okay, it's a huge data set and I want to check a particular condition on that, right? And there are many tables which are related to each other, right? And finding out some things becomes, right, like in this fashion is going to be very helpful. Again, I consider this as a simple query only. We'll go to the next level queries soon. All right. So this is pretty straightforward, right? So depending on this particular condition, it will select the employee. So you can see that. All right, let's proceed. So the next question here we have all the employees' IDs and the names who were born after 1969. So the date type of the data type called the date we already have come across. We have used it for the creation. Now we are going to use it for checking a condition. After 1969 means from first date of 1970. So you see everything. So whatever they are asking, show the employee ID, first name, last name, the complete name from the employee table, provided this condition is met. If the birthday, that's a particular column in that, right? If it is greater than this, it will show that. So you can see these are the employees. So since we are not asking the birthday here, it's not being shown here. Okay, that's all. Right. So the next question, find all the female employees at a particular branch. In this case, branch 2. So, right, I have to use AND condition here because, right, I want to show all the employees, right, from this table where the branch ID is 2 and they have to be female. Okay, obviously. Right. Next question. Find all employees who are female born after 1969 and also make over 80,000. I need to look at the third column as well. Okay, so select, this is fine, or from which table? Employee table. Where? Put the condition. This is the first condition. Born after certain year. And they have to be female. Then you see the question says not and, or. Either that is a condition, so I'll use a or here. Salary should be this. Right? If this is a condition satisfied, I don't have to look at this condition. That's what is or mean. Okay, or if this is satisfied, you don't have to look at their salary. So there may be someone whose salary is less than 80,000 in the table. That means this is satisfied. Okay, otherwise if this is satisfied, sorry, this is not satisfied, that means salary will be greater than 80,000, right? Or both are also fine. So or works in that fashion. Okay, right. So that has been implemented over here. The next one, find all the employees born between something. So between means, right, I can use a keyword called between, right? It understands that between something, this and this number. So since the birthday has a data type called date, it considers the date, minimum this number, maximum that. So you see, so 1970, right, first day onwards till the 1975, okay, between them. So between that day, 1975, before 1975. So we use the first data. So anything which is between that will be considered. Okay. The next one, find all the employees named Jim, Michael, Johnny, David, right? So we know this. I already have given an example, right, on the smaller table itself, right? So select all from the employees, that's a table, where a particular column I need to check, okay? There it was student name, here you are looking at the first name. If it is this, yes, it will come. Okay, so David is there, Michael is there, Jim is there. There is nobody called John, so it will not throw up an error. Okay, so since it is not there, it will not. Okay, right. So first part of the creation of a table and simple queries we finished. Let's move ahead. Okay, so the second part is called as functions, wherein you use some of the standard built-in functions for your just to perform some of the actions. Okay, so look at this question again. This will be I'll try to go ahead with the help of the question answer time. Okay, because most of the concept we already know, and whatever comes new over there, I'll just explain here itself. Okay, so we have a question: does it exclude the given dates in between? So starting from the first date and that date, both will be inclusive. Okay, right. Next part. So select the count. So you see the number of employees. It's like you are calculating the frequency, right? How many times it repeated. So find the number of employees with the supervisors, right? So how many of the employees in the list have supervisors is the question, right? You have to count that. So you see we use a particular function. You see the color changes for a function, keyword, function, etc. They have a different color representation, right? So count is a function. So select count of this, right? That's what. So out of your employees list, how many of them have supervisors is a question, right? So one of them we entered null, if you remember, right? So I can quickly show you that as well. Okay, so just to clear the doubt, let's go back. Okay, how many of the, let me go to that table. Yeah, so you see here super ID, how many of these rows have super ID? I just have to count. I don't worry about which number is there. So out of the 9 employees, 8 employees have someone who has been assigned as a supervisor. So the first number is a null, means there is no supervisor for that particular employee. So that's what is the meaning. We are trying to count that, right? So I'm expecting an answer. What is that answer expected? I think it is 8. All right, so quickly check that. Yes, we are getting the answer that is equal to 8. All right, so count will count the instances, right? So next question, find the number of female employees born after 1970. It's a count, right? How many are? So not to select, show, I'm not asking show me how many are. I'm asking how many count I want to see. I don't want to see the table. So select count employee ID, right, from employee. So where, this is the condition. The where is always going to be a conditional state. So where I can either write a single condition, I can club multiple conditions using some logic and or etc. We already know how to write the where. So this should be very simple to you. Only this part you need to remember what I'm supposed to count. So count the employee ID. From that employee ID, whichever IDs will satisfy this, it will keep counting. That's all. So again, that comes to be 8. All right. So the next query we are going to run is find the average of all the employee salaries. So there is a keyword called AVG, right? So select average of that salary, whichever value you mention, its average will be taken. So it's obvious that you will specify numerical column only. You don't say that average of a name. That doesn't make sense. Right? So we don't do that. It will be an error. Right. So select average of salary. That particular column it considers, looks at the numerical values over there. takes out the average and gives you the answer. Okay, so you can see the average salary of that particular company is this much. Okay, so it knows the equation for average. Simply it will calculate, add all of them divided by the number of that entry. That's all. All right, so look at the next query. All right, here we have find the average of all the male employees. Right now you see I have a condition. Right, I still do this calculation of the average, okay, of the salary, but I'll put a where condition at the end. So that's the only difference between this query and the previous query. Just see here where you give a condition sex equal to m. So it identifies sex equal to m, right? Identifies the salaries of them, right? Takes the average and displays that. Okay, so the answer comes like this. Right? Then next question is that find the sum of all employees. Right? So just change the function, right? There is a function called the sum. It will use that, and you again it is expected to use only numerical values, right? We should not ask the machine to go with any other form. Okay, so sum of the salary from which table you specify. Okay, as soon as you run that, you get an answer. So this is something like what's the usage of this? Maybe you run a company, you want to know that what is the monthly budget, right? How much expenses you have, like by paying the salary. So take the salary of sum of all the entries of that particular and every employee, you take the sum, right? So that's one. How much you are spending per month, right? How much your company is spending per month just for the salaries of the employees, right? So something like that. If you have a question that comes to mind, you can use it. Next question, find out how many. Yeah, so yes, Swapnil, it is identified in that. Okay, right. Normally the colors will tell you what it is, right? In the system, the count, you can identify that as a function. The others, which if with a different color will become a keyword. It's a built-in thing, so as of now we don't have any control over it. Maybe we can think what could be the possible reasons. Right? Okay, so next question, how many male and females are there? I want to separately see how many are there. I want to see that, and it should be calculated numbers. I want to do a count as well as I want to visualize. So you see, this is a slightly next level question, right? So you see, I'll start with this. Count should happen, right? Comma, you will tell on what basis, right? On the basis of sex. From which table? From this table. Okay, you will say that how do you want to group them according to the sex? In the sense, male, how many, female, how many I have to specify. So you see, there is a keyword group by has been used. Okay, so you see, this is the result. So 6 male employees, 3 female employees are there in the company. Right. So the next question, total spending of each client. Right. So each client, in the sense you will refer to the works with column, because works with the table. Let me go back to the works with table. Okay, I missed the table somewhere. Yeah, okay. So you just look here, right? So employee ID and client ID and total sales. In the sense, right? That particular employee ID with 105 made a sale of 55,000 to a client. In the sense, client has sold, client invested that much amount. So from where you identify that? Because I should have an idea about where do I get the data corresponding to the question, right? So in this case, that's where I try to find the answer. Okay, work with. Okay, so let's go to that. What was the question? Average is done. Sum, count. This is done. Sorry, I missed it. Average salary of male is done. Find the employee salary is done. Yeah, this is the question. Sorry. Okay, so you can see that here I want to find the sum of the total sales from a client ID. Depending on the client ID, I want to. So from which table, just now you understood that we have to look at the works with the table, right? And you have to group it with according to the client ID, because each client might have spent something with one. Also, there is another case that that client also has spent some more thing with another employee. So I want to club them together. If at all there is some cases like that, we want to. So you see that this is what is the result. So I want to see the total spending of each client. 400 client ID spends this much. 401 spends this much. 402 spends this much. Okay, right. So we are at the next level of queries, right? So just get adjusted to that. If it is finding too hard to understand what exactly is happening, as of now, no problem, right? So take your time. It takes time to get adjusted to that. Okay, so once you have this code with you and also you have the material, you can refer this video again and again, and you can understand. Right. So as of now, I will be going in the same pace. I will go faster. Okay. So the next one. So find the total sales of each of the salesmen, right? Each of the salesmen corresponding to, right? Uh, right? The employees. I'm talking about it. Each of the employee may not be a salesman. That's also a hint, right? So select sum of the total sales. I want to look at the sum of the total sales, and I am interested in the employee ID. Right? I should be considering employee ID, and corresponding to that, what is the sum of the sales? From which table? From this table. Works with. That's the same table where we have the sales report. And I want to group according to the employee. One employee may have sold one item to a particular client, second item to a different client. Right? So that's what sum of that total sales should be considered. Right? So you see, it's a group by employee ID. So these are the 4 salespersons, right? They have done the total sales equal to this much, right? Then, okay, we'll move on to the next important aspect, right? This normally works with what you have a data in the form of a text or also in the form of a date, right? Normally, numerical, we normally don't apply what is called as a wildcard. I'll give an example of what you mean by wildcard. So it's very similar to what you in a text processing or a string processing. Under the Python, you might have studied a particular, or at least you might have heard of something called as a regular expressions. All right. So maybe if you haven't heard of, what you are going to see now itself is an example of that. So I want to detect a pattern, right? There is something already present in my data set. I want to check whether that whole text somewhere contains ABC, right? We all together ABC. So you see, it's a pattern. To identify that, whatever techniques we use, we call them as wildcard. Okay, so that's what is the whole idea about wildcard. So let's quickly go through that. So things to remember here is the usage of a percentage and usage of underscore. Two things we have. I repeat, one is a percentage, one more thing is called as a underscore. Now I have written the meaning over there. If you can use percentage when you are not sure how many characters, like I want to just detect
Sir,
ABC.
please backslide थोड़ा हेलो
Yeah.
सर थोड़ा बैकस्लाइड समझाइए क्योंकि थोड़ा नेटवर्क इशू के बारे में नहीं हुआ
Yeah, I'm repeating.
बैकस्लाइड थोड़ा
Yeah. So percentage is used. There is no backslide. Backslide was an empty slide. Okay, I'm explaining this only. Right? Percentage is used for any number of characters. I don't know how many characters are before my ABC. This is ABC. Before that, you may have any number. I'm not worried about that. I'm just saying that I want to find out ABC. Right? Irrespective of number of characters before that or after. In such case, you will use what is called as the percentage. That's in some cases, I'm very sure that I have only one character to be identified. So in such cases, you use this. Again, I'll come to the example, which makes things more clear. Okay. As of now, just understand. If I use a percentage, that says any number of characters may be there. When I say underscore, there will be only one. Okay. Now, this is the question. Find the any client who are an LLC. right? Limited liability company, right? If I have many clients, any one of the client, is there any client who is an LLC is the question. So let's quickly go back and let's check the client table. Okay. All right. So refer to the client table, right? So that's actually located over here. Can you see LLC? Yes, I can see one LLC. One of my client is a LLC. So I'm expecting that answer. But you see, right? I am detecting, is there any LLC in the client name? I don't know. This LLC may come, normally LLC comes at the end, okay, in a company name. So, but I don't know how many characters are there before this LLC, right? That much idea I should have to write this query. Okay, so this is what I mean. So look at the answer. So find any client who are an LLC means select all. There may be any number. From which particular table? I have to look at a particular table where again I have to tell a condition. Client name. You see the new keyword. It's like similar to this. You see the meaning of percentage now. There can be any number of characters before that, but at the end I want LL. Just try to identify if there is any client which satisfies this condition, right? As we saw the table, yes, we have one answer, and that answer is here. Okay, so first type of pattern is by using a percentage. Right? You can use it whenever you are not sure how many characters are there. That's why any number of characters is what has been used. So go to the next question. Right, I have okay, the question is this one. Okay, so it's overlapping with the previous question. Just check this. So select, are there any suppliers, right, in this who are going to perform a label business, right? Label business, let's check that. So label, normally we have two types of spelling, right? Maybe one of them is with the error, right? But doesn't matter. I'll go back and I'll check the branch supplier. Okay. So let's quickly go back and check. Then we'll come back to the answer. Right. So you can see that there are two answers. LABELS as well as there is LABLES. Two words are there. Maybe I think this is by mistake, but anyway, I wanted to get the answer, so I actually the code properly to get both of them. Okay. Right. So you see the condition. Select all from the branch supplier where supply name is like either this or the supply name is like this. You see the usage of percentage before as well as after, because the word label should be coming. I'm looking for that. There may be labels possible. So I don't want to write label or labels or something. I don't know. I just want to say that, okay, there should be a LABEL present. I don't mind how many number of characters before or after. Right? So that actually gave this answer. Right? Let's proceed further. Find if any employee born in October. Right? Again, this has many answers. You can use it definitely a percentage, but I wanted to use the underscore as well because underscore uses one character. Now you see how the date is written. Date is always written in the specific format. What is the format? First, it comes as years, right? 4 letters of years. That is y dash. That's the only format supported by SQL. There is no question like, can I write a slash? No, that's not supported in SQL. So date means it is the same format. You have to write in the same, then only it will take it as a date. Okay, so y dash month, 2 digits. Then you have right dash something, right? The date. To specify that, I use this notation. See, there are 4 underlines here. Just understand, it's not a single underline. Seeing that there are 4 different single characters. Okay, that corresponds to year. Again, I repeat, this is not the only logic. You can definitely ask, can I write like this? Yes, answer is definitely. Okay, you can definitely change. But my intention is to show the underline usage. So 4 underlines. Okay, so we have 4 different underlines written over there. Then a dash, which means there will be a dash. It's the format of the date. Then I require 10 because 10 is the month which I am looking for. Because the question says October, right? Definitely the month will be 10. After that, whatever I have, I don't mind. So I put a percentage. So you can, what I'm trying to show here, I'm using the underscores as well as the percentage together. So another question I answered, can I use both together? Yes, that also I try to answer. Okay, so the results you can see here. Okay, correspond with this. We can actually go back and check, verify. I verified, so it's a right answer. Okay. Now, are there any schools among your clients? Which means I have to search for a keyword. The word I should search for is a school, right? Before that, after that, whatever I have, I don't. Right, in my whole list I have one school, right? So you can see that. So important thing is to use the keywords like whenever you are comparing with some pattern. So here also we are not looking for a single characters after or before, any number of characters may be. Okay, so that's the answer you see here. All right, now we'll move ahead. The next topic to be considered is called as a union. How do you club? So various things can be clubbed together using this technique.
Sir,
Yes,
it's
yes,
almost
Manish.
like 5-6 minutes left. So, sir, can we do it in next session or like?
No, we don't have many things left to. Right? So, right, we will be able to finish that within the time left. Okay. So the next thing is that find a list of employee and branch names. This means you have to make a list which contains everything all together. Right? I have something here. It can be a completely different column, but that should come below this or above this according to you. So that is what we call as a union. I'm performing union of two different values from the table, etc. Right? The format is this. You will pick up something. Select the first name from employee. I know that it will pick up a particular column. Then there is what is called as a union coming into picture. Right? So union is the keyword which says whatever you picked up here, with that perform the union of whatever I'm saying next. Select branch name from the branch. So that's what is the question. Employee names and the branch names club together. So you see, right? Initial first part is the initial query. Union of that happens with this. So the last after 10, 11, 12 is the branch names. You can do this, right? There are requirements where you may have to club, right? In this case, it may not make any sense. Like, why do you club the names with the branch name? Yes, that's true. But my intention is to show that how to do this. All right. So there are multiple tables where one of the column and the other column in another table you may want to add, right? So in such cases, this particular command is very useful. Okay. So I'll show you another example now, right? So can I club many things? So the answer is this, right? So first thing you see, I'll try to change the names of the name of the new column which is being displayed. You see all names. We have done this. So as is the keyword used, right? From employee, right? I select the first names and I print there only the first names. Okay, it actually a big column. You see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are not visible, right? Only a part of that is visible. So I wanted to show everything is there. So these are the first names starting from 1 to 9. Then you see union with the branch name. So that's these 3 numbers. After that, the client names, everything, all names, whatever you have in the table, all the tables we are clubbing together. Okay, so is that fine? So that is what this operation is, what we call as union. You can perform the union of any column with any column of there is, right, using this union keyword. So after union, the next important thing is called as a join. All right. So the join actually works in this particular fashion. Okay, I think I added some new row. That's fine. Doesn't matter. So I just printed that's okay. So now I'll go to the join part. Now, so question is find all the branches and the names of their managers. This is the question. You see, right? We will have to club something to get this. All right. So just look at this. What are the things you want? Employee ID, right? Whatever I want to display, I will select, right? So find all the branches and their names and of their managers. This is what I. So employee ID will be required, right? Because you are clubbing, right? You are relating two different tables now. Are you okay? Because one is employee. This employee, who is the manager, I need to find out. So I have to refer to the next table, another table called the branch. Now you see, I am going to perform a join operation with this and this, right? So you see the result now. That makes more. Okay, from employee, I select all of them. First thing, I understand what this does. This selects those particular three columns from the employee. Now, relate this table, right, by using this join branch, right? In the sense, with this particular table called employee, I want to do a join of this second one, that is with the name branch. I want to link. So how do you link? You have to tell what you want to do. In the first table, look at the employee ID. In the second table, look at the manager ID. They are the common one. If you look at that's what is the key linking to them. I'll just go back. Just remember what we are trying to do. We are referring to employee table and the branch table. Okay, right. Let me quickly go back. Right. So employee, I want to link them based on something. Based on what? Employee.empid and branch.manager ID. You see, right? That's how we are relating, right? This is the foreign key, correct? This is the one which relates this to this. Already we discussed. So they always the linking happens with respect to the foreign ID only. This is the fundamental thing. Anyway, we are aware of that. Foreign IDs are used to just to link. So that means if you are linking something, it has to be like this. Okay, right. So what happens right here? We are going to extract the manager IDs from this and we'll be displaying them on this table. Okay, so I'll make it clear. Let me go. Okay, so that was
Line number 3.
right. So just see this now. Right, so that means I'm actually looking at the same three columns from the first table, but I'm linking that with what? With the manager IDs of the second. So manager IDs are 100, 102 and 106 and their names are being displayed. That's all from the first table. From the first table to display this, I refer to the third table. In the sense, in the first table, who all are the managers I'm trying to display their details. Pretty straightforward. But you see, question is straightforward, but in order to answer that, I should think, how do I relate? Because the manager's detail is present in another particular table it is, and the details, their name, etc., is present in the first. So linking is necessary. So that should make things, you should be able to understand that clearly. We'll go for another example. All right. So there is again the questions. I'll try to keep it same. I'll show you another option. There is what is called left join. So the left join, you see the command used here is simply changed as a left join. So there are two tables. Whatever you say from is the left table. Okay. Whatever is after join you write, right? That is the right table. So just this is the convention. Left table means it's the first one which from where we are displaying something. So you see, select so many things from the first table, that is the left table. Okay. And what you refer to write something over there, right, is the right table. In this case, branch. Now I am calling the left join. Left join means, right, it is a normal join which we did earlier plus all the elements in the left table. You see, all the three entries 100, 102, 106 are there, but others are also printed because they are not managers, but I'm asking it to print. Left join means show me everything in the first table also. That's all. Okay, show me everything in the first table, right? It will few of the things. The branch name will be null because he's not a manager, or he or she is not a manager, right? So if he's present in he's a manager of a particular branch, then that will be shown. That's all. Left join prints everything from the left table, just remember, right? Equivalent to that, I'll take just 2 minutes more. All right, so just please bear with me. Let's finish this so that you can practice, right? So you can see here, right? There is what is called as a right join as well. So simply right join, as expected, it will print everything from the table. So there is one more entry I added just in the previous case, right? So that is also getting printed here. Okay, that is present in the table, it will be printed over. Okay, so that's what is this. Now I will go to the one part which we actually had left, that is the on delete part. I told that, okay, I have an on delete, right? That command.
Sir, I have a small question. So basically, sir,
Yes.
when we say like join, so basically, sir, what exactly they are doing? Like,
in the sense, I'm trying to relate two different tables based on the foreign key.
Based on the
foreign key. There is one key which is linking both of them, right? Based on that, you are trying to extract the features from there, depend on based on the query. Right? Fundamentally, I'm trying to relate both of them, and after relating both of them, I'm trying to do something. Okay,
so basically,
key is the main one.
So basically, okay, both the keys are employee ID and branch manager ID.
Yes, you have to use that because according to that query, I have to use that. Okay, depends on the query fundamentally.
And sir, in the result, what we are getting basically the employee ID and the
employee ID and the name. Okay. All right. So we had used one. This is the last topic. Okay, just two slides maximum. Right. So you see, there was one thing that is called as, there was a on delete. We mentioned that null. Okay? In the sense, when you delete something, put null over there. That's the. So you see, whenever we said that inside the employee, whenever we declared that particular table, we mentioned that if you delete something from here, use null over there. So you see, I'm deleting something. Delete from employee, where employee ID is 102. 102 I'm trying to delete. Okay, when you delete that, it is actually present on the other side also, where it is present in the branch side. What you are going to put there, because right, when I delete an entry 102, that employee is no more existing. So what you are going to put there in the related branch, you are going to put a null over there. Okay, so you see, right, that 102 here, this was the 102. Okay, 100, 102, 106. There are three things. When you get this, you please refer this once again. Right now, I'll make it quickly. This was 102. I said that when I created the table, put a null on delete. So you see, that is what is happening. It's going to put a null. This null is not related to that. This we intentionally put a null over there. Okay, so that's one thing. Then let me go to the last part. So here, this was the another case. On delete, you do a cascading. Cascading in the sense, delete the whole thing. The whole row I want to delete. That's all. So from a branch, I'm right eliminating the branch ID equal to 2. Right, in the table you had branch IDs 2 2 2 2, then 3 3 3 3. You see, when I deleted the branch, I'm no more able to see the branch 2 at all. The whole branch is eliminated. Everything related to the branch got eliminated. So you are allowed to specify this if you use on delete cascade. If you want to put a null, you will use on delete null. Okay, so those are the topics which we actually had earlier, but since we had no idea about all these operations, I couldn't cover over there. All right, so that brings us to the end of this particular session. If you have any doubt, I will.
Yeah, sir. Sir, actually, I have doubts related to the left join and right join.
Okay, yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, I have not understood, sir, basically. All so right. Basically, what we are trying to achieve out of both
I'll
these.
come. Okay, so the session is over. Those who have no doubts can definitely leave. Okay, session is over. If you have doubt, you stay over. I'll be there for next 5 minutes. Okay, all right. So you want to look at the join part, right?
So can you please explain with the help of table, please?
Sorry, no, I'll explain here itself. I'll show the table and I'll explain. Okay, fine.
Sure.
Right. So you see, the first one is the left join. Right, left join uses a convention that whenever you call as the from which table you are referring, that is the left table. Okay, and
yes.
Then you say the join something, right? That is called as the right table.
Right table.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
The normal join takes only what is common between them. Okay, both you consider, right? Whatever is common. You look at the previous example. Here you see, out of those two, what is common? The common thing is this, right? These three are the common. So you consider them and you plot, you show that. That's a simple join. Okay. Now, left join says, whatever is your left table, you show me the common entries between the table plus other entries from the first table. That is the left table. That's all is the left thing. So you see, whatever was there in the common thing, we can see that 100, 102, and this. Okay, you see that. In addition to that, whatever is not a part of this, because they have branch name null, right? They are not the, we are looking at the question that show me the managers, right? They are not managers, so there will be a null entry over there. Okay, but it will show all the entries from the first table. In the first table, I have 101, 103, 104, 106, not 106, sorry, 105, 107, 108. It will show all. That's what the left join. Okay. Meanwhile, when you say that I'm considering the right join, it's the same thing, but on the right table, right? Show me everything common between left and the right table, plus whatever is additional elements you have on the right table, show me that out. Right, you see here, only you can see the table has 100, 102, and 106, which are common, plus there is one extra entry in that is this. We'll see that also. Simple. Okay. That's
got it, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir.
Yes.
This is example ना. हम लोग उसको example लेके clarify किए. हम लोग को कोई भी डाटा आ सकता है और हम लोग उसको कैसे भी explain कर सकते हैं. ये बात है ना?
Yes. Perfect.
And
that's just an example.
यहाँ पे एक example लिए. Okay.
Yes.
And sir, the last one, delete one, sir. I could not figure that.
Okay. Yeah. Right. So this is the first one. Okay, that's just a delete on delete. I think this one. Yes. So when I declared the when I actually created the branch table, right? At the end, I said that on delete put null. Okay, on delete null is the command. The last line. Anyway, you can refer that how to write that later stage. Okay, but that's the command we use. In the sense, when I delete an entry from this branch, what you are going to put in those lines which are related to this. Okay, I delete means employee from the employee table, that will be eliminated. That's fine. So there is another what you call table which is said to be branch. In branch also you have this 1 or 2 present because he's the manager. What you are going to put there? You are going to put a null over there. That's what. So I have not shown the answer corresponding to the employee table because that gets eliminated completely. 1 or 2 is not there. But what you are going to put there, you see here. This is a null. Okay.
Got it.
That's the thing, right? And the second thing is what you are going to put if you use what is called as on delete cascade. This is the other option you have. If you use this while defining any of the table, you delete an element from that, means that completely gets eliminated, right? From that, how many number of repetitions you have, completely it will be gone. So this particular table has branch numbers 2, 2, 2, 2, then 3, 3, 3, 3, where I just call it as just delete that branch ID equal to 2, right? So, right, we can see that 2, 2, 2, 2 gets completely eliminated. I am left out with only 3, 3, 3, 3. Okay, so complete elimination is the cascade. Okay.
Right.
All right. So any other doubt?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Devendra. Devendra, right?
Sir, one question, sir. Whatever operation we are performing particular through the table, so that table we have like a copy paste on this pop SQL, or where, sir, or we have created the table,
We
sir?
have created the table. We wrote the commands one by one line. Line by line, we have done that.
Oh,
Okay? You will get the code,
okay.
right? I will share you the code you have, right?
Okay.
Right. So since there are so many lines, this part of after the break, I shifted to the PowerPoint because I had copied everything and I pasted here, right? That's why we went faster. Otherwise, it would have been taken a lot of time typing. Okay, right. So you will get the code. So go through the code and analyze. All right. Any other doubt?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead, Niranjan. Niranjan, any doubt? No.
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So yeah.
थोड़ा समझ पाए थोड़ा
Okay.
practice करके तो होगा
Any other doubt? Any other doubt? No, right? Okay. So I hope this session is useful to you. And
Sir.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sir. This is definitely you have already created some table, and we will perform the operation. We will learn the operations, right, sir?
Right.
But how we can use in the real situation, sir, real way?
A real application will come at a later stage. Okay. As of now, this is just an introduction. Once
Okay.
you have an access to a cloud storage, maybe you will get to use it. Right now, what we are teaching SQL because maybe at a later stage when you do a particular project, right, there may be a requirement that you have to access a database. If in that such cases you don't know SQL, means you are stuck, right? So just to make sure that you know the basics at least, right? Okay, there is something called SQL. I can access the big data present at some location, right? At least something you know means it's useful, right? So this is actually a part which is brought in the middle of our normal curriculum, just to make sure that you know something which can be applied at a later stage. When you might apply, we don't, right? You may apply something in the machine learning phase, something in the deep learning phase. After that, somebody may apply it in the IoT phase. Anywhere it might come. So we are not going to put it at the end or something. We in the middle itself we brought it all of a sudden, so that you take time to get adjusted to this. It will take time. Okay, so to go through all of them, right? Once you are ready with that, if at all it is required, you should be available. You should be ready to use it. That's the fundamental idea.
Right.
All right. Okay. Okay. All right. So I hope the session is useful to you, and you will be able to learn a lot from the future classes. All right. So I appreciate your effort as well as your patience in listening to these sessions. All right,
sir.
So yeah.
Next week we need holiday, sir, because already last week a lot of loads are there, sir.
Actually, I am not the concerned person to deal with the holidays. Kindly put a message on your LMS so that concerned person will first read that and then they will make a decision. Okay.
Okay.
So please do that. So I just actually I get work assigned and I take the classes. I don't deal with the.
Yeah. Because we need to do practice also, so we need gaps, sir. Otherwise, very difficult to.
I understand.
Yeah.
Address it properly to the proper channel. Somebody will definitely look into that. Okay. I will assure you that. All right. So we'll end this session and we'll meet in the upcoming class whenever it gets scheduled. So fine. So good.
Thank you.
Have a great week.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your time.